All right, guys, I'm here, and we're ready to start in a minute. I've forgotten to actually hit the pens, I guess. All right. Hello, Gloria. All right. Let's get underway today. Well, maybe I'll wait an extra minute because it does just say 4 o'clock right now on my computer, so maybe we'll just let people come in. So we're going to learn the second part of an area of a circle today. You probably will need a calculator, but you know that, and a piece of paper and a pencil. So we're going to just start with a little bit of a review of what we've been learning so far. All right. So let's review what circumference is. Circumference is the distance around the edge of a circle. So the outside edge, and I've got my arrow pointing to that on my screen. So you can see that this arrow points to this outside edge. It's like if you had to measure the world, you'd have to walk all the way around it. So you can probably see my, my hand. You can measure with a string or a trundle wheel. We talked about what a trundle wheel is in class today. It's usually got a 1 meter, it's got a 1 meter diameter. And so when you walk around with a trundle wheel, it'll measure things in a meter. It clicks for every meter and counts them for you. So other than that, it's pretty hard to measure the circumference on the edge of a circle. Like Stuart said today, you could use the tape measure. You'd have to stand it on its edge, but you could do it. Oh, by the way, can you guys all hear me? Just give me a thumbs up or something. Oh, Jasmine can. Good, good, good. Good. Okay, it looks like most people can hear me. All right. So the next part of the review then is going to be about pi. So the second way that you can measure the distance around the outside of a circle is pi. And those old Greek mathematicians, they were smarter than anything. They're the ones that figured this out. They figured out that if you took the diameter and you multiplied it by 3.14159, and there's a whole bunch of other numbers, but anyhow, we just keep it to 3.14, then we would get the circumference. And they figured this out by taking the circumference of a circle and dividing it by the diameter. And they always got 3.14. And they thought, well, that's probably good news, because now we can figure out the edge of the circle, how much it measures to go around the edge of a circle without actually measuring it. It does work every time. So if you have the radius, and there's a picture here on my screen, this is the radius. And we remember that radius is halfway through a circle. So you start from the very center of the circle, and you go to the outside edge, and you measure that. That is a radius. Now, if we have the radius, we can get the diameter, because we know that. I'm going to get a red pen. I'm going to get a red marker here. Just hang on. Something else is coming up now. I've done something awful. Okay. I've got my red mark. You can see that if I extend this line that I've got in the center of the circle all the way across, I will now have a diameter. Well, if I go all the way. Oops. Me and my tools. Okay, so we've extended the radius now from one side of the circle to the other, and we've gone through the center of the circle. So if we do that, that gives us what we call a diameter. So those two measurements are really important. Pi 3.14, which is the measurement you get if you take circumference and divide it by diameter every time in a proper circle. And we also remember that radius times 2 will give us a diameter. So all of those things are important things that we need for figuring out the area of a circle. Now the area of a circle also has a formula. And there's all sorts of math. If you want to take a really good look at how they figured this out, there actually is a solution that is on page 216 in your textbook that shows you how to make a circle almost fit a parallelogram, and then it talks about getting area that way. I find that one a little bit confusing, although it's right. So if you're really smart and you want to know some cool math, you can look at that. All right, but here's a brand new formula that we're going to have. Now that we know how to measure the outside edge and the diameter and, of course, the radius, we should figure out how to measure the space that a circle takes up. Now, the area of a circle is another one that uses pi, or 3.14 times radius times radius. All right? So this is different. This is not radius times 2. It's radius times radius. Does anybody know what it's called when we do that with a number? We multiply it by itself. Oh, Caden knows something. I think we're going to hear from her really soon. All right. So we're figuring out what we call that when we multiply a number by itself. Okay. I'm going to write this down. I'm going to see if I can do this today. Sometimes it lets me, sometimes it doesn't. Okay. And I'm going to make it bigger. Okay. They call this squared. So to square a number, oops, nice spelling, this is fair. So they call it squaring a number by multiplying it by itself. So for example, 2 squared equals 4. Somebody want to tell me what 4 squared is? Let's think. What does a square do? It's a number multiplied by itself. So 4 squared is 16. And we have to make sure that we don't do 4 times 2 because that's a whole different thing. All right? So 2 squared is 4 and 4 squared is 16. So radius squared, which is how you'll also see this written, is pi r squared, which looks very strange indeed. It looks like, I don't know if I've got a pi symbol. We'll just put pi r. And then we have the squared, pi times r squared. All right, it's not going to give it to me. I don't know where the square is on this keyboard. I'm going to shift and hit a 2. Pi r squared. Now, not r times 2. So it's r times r. We're going to practice this a little bit, so let's take a look at our next page. The radius of a circle is 10 centimeters. So what is our area? So let's try and figure that one out. The radius of a circle is 10 centimeters. What is the area? So what we'll be doing is, okay, radius is 10 times 10 times 3.14. There's another great bunch of writing there. Sorry, it's a bit juvenile. So let's get our calculators out and figure out what that is. Let's figure. Anybody figured out what that is? Get your calculators out. Calculators to the ready. Those of you that like Big Bang Theory, that's one of the things that they say. All right. You can tell me what 10 times 10 times 3.14 is. Should be able to actually do it in your head, some of you. Thank you, Jasmine. It's 314. All right. Now, it's 10 centimeters, so what do we say is our area? 314 what? 314 what? Oh, somebody's writing. Centimeters squared, that's right. And when we do squared, we put the little symbol up here, all right? So if you see, you'll see this written as the formula for area. It's this, pi r, well, sort of n there. I'll delete this and try it again. So this is the other way that you'll see this written, because this will probably be in the book as well. Okay, let's try it again. Pi. And pi is the 2 straight lines with a squiggly line over, and then r, and then squared. Now what happens if you see symbols together, but they have no sign? What do we talk about in math that does? What do you do in those cases where there's no sign? People can't remember? All right. When there's no sign, like if you saw 3x, or say 3y, because that's for algebra, that would mean 3 times y. So when we see pi, and then we see r squared without something after it, what do you think we do? Okay, well, let's think about our order of operations. R squared would come first because that's brackets and exponents. Okay, so that's 100. And then pi is 3.14. Oops, that's not a 4. There's a bit of 4. So that's 314. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the next question. A circle has a diameter of 8. So let's go back to our diagram here. I'm going to clear this off. Okay. So our circle has a diameter of 8. So here I am. I'm going to draw my diameter. Now, in order to use my formula, can I use diameter? Yes or no? Anybody have an answer for me? You guys are all quiet today. Nobody's typing. Oh. You can't use diameter to figure out radius. Can anybody help them out with that? Well, somebody's typing. I'm just going to wait and see what they have to say. Okay. Yeah. Divide a diameter by 2 and you're going to get the radius. So if we take a look here on the page, we can see that we've got a radius in black and it goes from the center of the circle to the outside edge. So if I now extend that all the way across, if we go back to our very first page, we'll see that, oh, back. We can see that radius times 2 is diameter. So then if we go backwards, we know that diameter times 2 is radius. Or sorry, diameter divided by 2 is radius. Going back to our page. So a circle has a diameter of 8. What do we first have to do? See you later, Caden. If a circle has a radius of 8, what do we have to do before we can figure out that area? Has a diameter of 8. So what do we do to get the area? We need radius times pi. So the first thing we're going to do is, we know that diameter is 2 times the radius. First thing that we're going to do is we are going, oops, I got a yellow pen. I don't know how I did that. Coming back to, let's have black. Okay. So now we take our 8, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to divide that by 2. And we're going to get our radius, which is 4. And that should say centimeters, guys. I was a little dopey, I guess, when I was doing the PowerPoint. Okay, so it's 4 centimeters is our radius. Now let's figure out what our area of this circle is. What is the area of this circle? Okay, so we go radius, 4, times radius. Stephen's got it already good. 4, and I think someone else had it before, times pi, which is 3.14. And I'm going to take your word for it, guys, because I haven't figured this one out yet, that that's going to equal 50.24 centimeters squared. And remember, this is the very important part, is that we put the squared there, because otherwise it's a linear measure, and we know that we can't measure area linearly, that we have to have 2 dimensions to it, because we're measuring a 2-dimensional space. All right, so any questions about this? Good. Okay, so one of the things you're going to have to do before the unit test for this one is to actually write down and memorize these formulas. You're going to need to know them for the rest of your life anyhow, so you might as well get used to them. So, now, pizza comes in 8 slices. Now I changed centimeters to, inches to centimeters, so this would be a pretty small pizza. If I order a 24 centimeter pizza, how much area does the pizza take up? So the first question you have to say to to yourself is, what is the 24 centimeters measuring? Does anybody want to take that one on? What does the 24 centimeters measure? A couple people answering, we'll see. So Stephen thinks it's diameter. I'm waiting to see what Zainab thinks because she's typing away. I always like to wait to see. All right, well, we'll see what she has. So if Stephen thinks it's a diameter, that means that this goes, that's measuring this directly across. See, I just drew on the pizza. All right, so I drew on the pizza. You can see that that's a diameter. What am I going to have to do, first of all, in order to get the area of this pizza? What am I going to have to do? Okay, you got the answer. Don't give us the answer. This is the homework. Don't look at that, you kids. So, if it's 24 centimeters, we're going to measure how much space it takes up. But the 24 centimeters measures diameter, so we have to actually go to a radius. We have to cut that pizza in half. What is the measurement of the radius going to be? And then once you figure out what the radius is going to be, then you're going to figure out your pi r squared. And then just a little extra bonus mark, what is the area of one slice? So this is for Monday's math. Lucky you guys, you don't have any more homework on math till Monday. Some of you have been forgetting to show me your work at the end of class, and a couple of you need to show me a few days' work. Today was a bit of a uneasy day, and yesterday we were doing some other stuff, so I want to make sure that we get all that caught up next day. So if you haven't shown me 5.12 or 4, please make sure that it's ready to show me for next day. All right? So once you've got the homework down, you're free to go, you guys. It's 4:17. Off you go. Have a good night. Oh, sure. Class today, we did the odd questions on pages 211 to 13. So odd, page 211 to 13. And the key question was 4. I think, let me double check. Yeah. Be careful with the key question because lots of people got it wrong because they didn't look at the word radius in it. All right? You're welcome. Bye, Zainab. Bye, Jasmine. Bye, Annika. Have a good night. Hope your back's feeling better. See you, Lexi. Have a good night.